All right, so just seeing the season finale of The Last of Us, we gotta talk about it. Now, I missed the last couple episodes in reviewing them because life stuff got in the way. But yeah, I've seen the whole series. The last second half of the season was pretty much banner episodes. They're word for word the game, most of it, just very minor changes. And yeah, I have mixed feelings about the show. While it's like it is a perfect adaptation of a video game, you can't get any closer without actually, doing the game frame for frame. But there are things I like about the game more. I like a lot more things about the game. Even the actor performances, I thought in the games were better. The first game, Last of Us. I thought the actor performances were better. I thought the storyline was better. I thought Bill and Frank was better. I thought there was better action in the video game. Maybe that's just because it's a video game and you get to fight a bunch of zombies. But I'll tell you what, the second half of this season of Last of Us was lacking zombies. It was lacking the infected. It was lacking action sequences, for sure. And I don't know if that's because the budget of the show wasn't that high. I heard the budget was pretty good for the show. And early on in the season, you do see the infected, those first couple episodes, and you think, oh man, we're gonna get more as the season goes, but really they kind of stop with the infected. There's a one infected in the episode Left Behind when you see the flashback of Ellie and what's her name and their little love story. You see one infected in that episode. In the last episode of the season, you see one infected at the beginning of the episode, and you never see another infected. Like, this is what made the game better, is because you would get those scenes with like the giraffe, and that was in the final episode. You would get those scenes, and then it'd be followed by, you gotta go through a tunnel where there's a bunch of bloaters and clickers, and you gotta find your way through it. And that really informs and builds the relationship between Joel and Ellie, and it just keeps showing examples of them actually going through stuff. Because there is a line where Ellie says, after all we've been through, it can't be for nothing. And all I'm thinking while I'm watching the show is like, I haven't really seen you guys go through that much. See, I saw you, go through the Henry and Sam thing. I saw you take care of Joel when he got stabbed. I saw you, almost get raped by that cannibal. But that's about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there wasn't that much that they went the test dying. And I'm like, okay, are these enough events? And it's funny when they showed the season recap. When you're watching the final episode, I sat there and watched the season recap, and guess what episode they don't show at all? Bill and Frank's episode 3. And just like my review, I said that that episode had nothing to do with Joel and Ellie's story. It was definitely pointless in the grand scheme of the whole story. And what do you know? They recap the whole show. They show you every episode, and they never see a shot of Bill and Frank because they didn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, to what Joel and Ellie's story was, the father-daughter relationship of them, had nothing to do with Bill and Frank, really. So, in that way, the game takes it for me. I mean, at least they did Bill and Frank's story better. I like the fact that Frank kills himself because he's sick of Bill. Like, I like that idea. I think that's a better idea. That's like, I feel like they were way too conservative with that episode 3, funny enough. It's just a stereotypical, feminine, masculine relationship. Like, what? Very cutting edge here. But anyway, don't talk about episode 3 anymore. The show was really good. I have disappointments, though. Obviously, the lack of infected, I'll go back on that because they set it up beautifully in the first 2 episodes that there was going to be tons of infected, you know what I'm saying? And there was like there's a way, there was a system in which they were working. Like, if you kill an infected and it falls on the ground, it could just touch the ground and communicate to all the other ones to come to, like, its position, like, that changes the game, right? Like, that would be dope. Like, if, like, during this show, like, they were trying to make sure they kill infected, like, on cement or, like, in a building or something like that to make sure it doesn't touch the ground. Like, that could have been something cool we could have seen later on. Didn't happen, you know what I'm saying? The whole last, like, 4 episodes of the show, there's no infected. There's, like, 2 infected. So And like, you never see a horde of them again. The last like horde you saw was the Henry and Sam episode, where they come out of the ground. That's it. That's it. That's the last time you see a horde that big. That's the last time you see a bloater. Which, funny enough, I'm watching the show, and like, that episode 7 when they get to the school, Joel gets off his horse, and I'm like, oh god, they're gonna go to the school. There's gonna be a bloater there, because if you play the game, you can go down a route where you can go into the building and there's 2 bloaters that are sitting there waiting for you. Or you could just walk around and ignore it entirely. You don't have to go in those rooms in the game. It's stuff like that I wish they put into the show. Like, put more action, put more infected. Because then it informs the rest of their story, you know what I'm saying? You really see Joel and Ellie go through it. Like, go through hell trying to get to this hospital, because you would think, like, after the Dave incident happened, where he, like, he almost rapes Ellie and eats her. After that incident, it's like they go, like, 2-3 months or something, because that was winter. And the next episode looks like it's in spring. And, they seemingly went months between those episodes, probably. And what they go through, I don't know. Were they just walking to the hospital? Were they just walking to Salt Lake from that point on? Like, was that what they were doing? Or were they fighting? What were they doing during that time? It would have been cool to see them actually go through something more. Go through a bloater. Like, they had to take out a bloater. You know what I'm saying? They could have figured out a way to do that. And that would have been cool. But I think they did hold back on that stuff because the budget wasn't, as high. Maybe if the budget of the show was more, they could have did more. Maybe that's why they held back on action scenes and infected in the second half, because, they were just running low on the budget. That's probably what it was when you think about it, because so many opportunities you could have had for infected, and it's just like, oh, here comes the part where an infected comes through the door or something. Like, here's the infected part, and it's just like, no, we're just gonna keep walking and talking and doing the scenes from the game word for word. I mean, they really, like, that whole draft scene, pretty much word for word. Like, you can't get a closer adaptation than that. So that's why I'm torn with this episode. It's just like, some of it's really good. It's like everything I ever wanted from an adaptation of the video game. And then there's moments where I'm like, did you think this was better than the game? Like I'm asking the creators of the show, like, did you think, like, that Bill and Frank episode was worth it? Like, do you think, like, it was worth to spend that much time on these characters that never come back and never do anything for Joel and Ellie? Like, obviously, Henry and Sam had way more impact on Joel and Ellie's journey. When Ellie is saying, after everything we've been through, it can't be for nothing, she's not even thinking about Bill and Frank. You know that, right? Like, she read a letter from them. She doesn't even know them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that wasn't a thing. That was not a traumatic event on the journey for them. Ellie's more talking about the time she was almost raped by the cannibal Dave. Like, that's what Ellie's probably more concerned about, than a letter she got from some dead people, that she read from some dead people, So I think they'll always look back. I mean, I'll always look back at this Last of Us series, at least this first episode, as just missed opportunities. Tons of missed opportunities for action and infected and story. Like, And after the way they started this season, there was so much promise that this was going to be like a really good adaptation, but they were also going to take some cool, like, liberties with it and maybe do their own thing. And they really just did it word for word. The whole infected thing, like, communicating through the fungus that's in the ground, that's only for one episode, Like, it's only for the second episode. They never really touch on that again. And you would have thought it would have been like a pivotal plot line of the show, right? You would have thought that, the infected would have been more prominent after that, They would have been more of a threat, because you have to watch where you're stepping. And Joel and Ellie are walking most of the time. They're like I thought that was a huge missed opportunity to do something a little different with The Last of Us, while keeping it, like, true to what the game is. And Yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I thought it was really good. Another thing that disappointed me about the season finale is that it's only like 40 minutes. Like, why you couldn't give me an hour for the season finale? Like, Bill and Frank's episode's an hour 20. This is 40 minutes. Like, 40 minutes for a season finale. Like, give me another 20 minutes. It's like, that's what the tunnel sequence should have been. It should have been like a 20-minute sequence of them going through this tunnel, this horror, this like hellhole to get to the hospital. Like, that should have been in the season finale. And I would probably be feeling satisfied with the season finale. I would have thought it had, everything I needed, but they pretty much did the game word for word. So if you played the game, you know exactly what happened in this last episode, except for the tunnel sequence with the bloaters. That's the only thing they don't do. But yeah. Yeah, and Joel is a piece of shit for like murdering everybody in the hospital. They even show a good shot in the last episode of him, like some guy puts down a gun and puts his hands up, and then Joel shoots him anyway, just like you would in the game, because that was like the interesting part about the video games, that you kill like everybody, even the guys that are like trying to like cower and surrender. At the time, no games did that. No games make you think about who you're shooting. You know what I'm saying? Like, make you feel bad about shooting an enemy in the game. Like, that was a big thing about Last of Us. And I feel like they could have did more of that in the series too. So another missed opportunity there. But that's it for now. Comment below, let me know what you think of The Last of Us. I really thought it was a damn near perfect adaptation, and in the same breath, I think it's filled with huge missed opportunities. But as a solid show, and like for somebody that's never played Last of Us, has no idea what the story is, you're probably gonna really like it. You're probably gonna love it. Then you're gonna play the game and see, oh my god, the game is a lot better. That's hopefully what happens here, because that's what I believe in my heart of hearts. Like, this doesn't even touch the video game. Like, sorry. Even acting wise, I think the voice acting and the actual like animations in the game are better at conveying emotion. 100%. But anyway, that's it for now, guys. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.
Swear to me that everything that you said about the Fireflies is true.
I swear.